let's get into it. I want to talk about the title of your film, A Lot of Nothing. So it's called A Lot of Nothing, but obviously, due to its satirical nature, that's not entirely the case. The characters are doing a whole lot of nothing, but that's creating a snowball effect of a whole lot of something. So I want to know what was the inspiration behind that title.
Thank you for saying that the characters actually are onto a lot of something. Yeah, a lot happens in the film for sure, and it covers a lot. The title is one of those things that really has like multiple meanings and thoughts. And I say that the two major ones is like the title justification moment in the film
Mhm.
is, as a character that realizes they had done so much towards accumulating and amassing certain things when ultimately they discover that all those things amount to a lot of nothing.
Mhm.
And another like less literal kind of interpretation of the title was for me was just an examination of all the things that lead to strife and conflict and confusion. When you really, really break it down and look at what those things are, it's really a lot of nothing that comes between us. And things that are actually something and that are meaningful, those are the things that bring us together.
Mhm. I wanted to know, was it like a nod to kind of like how social media, especially since 2020 when the pandemic started, social media has kind of forced a lot of people to feel that they have to do something, even if they're not entirely sure what that something is or how to do it.
Right. The interesting thing about it, like, so to answer the question, yes, it was absolutely a nod to society in the social media era
Mhm.
and how we react to things, or some may even say don't react to things.
Yeah.
But in terms of it being connected to the behavior during the pandemic, I started working on this film in 2018. So that was before the
Okay.
pandemic, is before a lot of other things that occurred in the world,
Yeah.
which I think just kind of speaks to the fact that we've been ingratiating ourselves into this pattern of armchair activism and tweeting and Facebook and Instagram when there's an issue. But then the question becomes like, what can we actually do?
Mhm.
And so with me being aware of the way we've been responding to things, that question began to get more and more intriguing of like, okay, what does it look like if you are in a position to actually do something and then discover you're completely ill-equipped? Because
Mhm.
all we've trained to do is again get on the soapbox and use our words. We don't have any actual background in action in the
Yeah.
way this couple decides to take action.
Well, that was actually my next question. I was going to ask how long this has been in the works, but I guess it really shows how important timing is because, if you've been working on this since 2018 and you're dropping it now, I mean, it's still pretty relevant. So I wanted to know what made you feel like right now was the right time to do this? Because I know you've been in the industry for not to make you sound old, but
Right, right.
well over 2 decades. So I want to know what made you feel like now the timing was right now.
You know, the crazy thing about it is going to sound dramatic, but it just felt like I would have never felt complete or happy or fulfilled as an artist if I didn't tell this story.
Hmm.
So the now of it is that all these things I've been overwhelmed with, these emotions, these thoughts, this desire to connect and to make a contribution to the medium that I felt like was meaningful. And it just had to happen as soon as it possibly could. So the right now was because this is when the moment when all the drive and the ambition and the passion just overwhelmed me to the point like I know this is one of those things in my life where if I didn't do it as soon as I possibly could, I just would be terribly unhappy.
Hmm. Was there ever a point during the pandemic, because we were all in the house, was there ever a point where you felt like um, you just wanted to scrap it, or you weren't sure if you wanted to, or maybe you had second thoughts about releasing this out?
No, I never had. So during the pandemic, I honestly never had thoughts about scrapping it. It was more concerns that, I wouldn't get the chance to finish telling the story because we got shut down halfway through the shoot.
Oh,
actually about a third of the way through the shoot. So, it was a lot of dark times. Obviously, relative to everything else that was happening in the world, it's just a movie, right? So I don't want to take lightly the people that lost lives and things of that nature. I was in my own battle of like not being depressed, of investing so much of my energy and time and resources and favors and getting going. And then we shut down for like 16 months. So there were definitely times that I felt like I might never get to complete this film. But I
yeah.
never wanted to abandon it. It was always like whenever those thoughts would creep in, my thing would always be like, no, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. I didn't know how, I didn't know when, but I just knew it
Like it was going
was.
to happen. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
definitely a great way to think. Um, I want to know, were Cleo and Alon, were they always like your first choice? Like, how did they become a part of this?
No, actually, they were not always the first choice. I had known Alon because we worked together and we had become friends. But I was going through the audition process. There was initially someone else that was supposed to play James, and ultimately it just didn't work out schedule wise. And so I had to open it up to audition, and we started seeing people. A lot of really incredible actors came in,
Mhm.
and then Alon came in. And the funny story is, he came in, and the first time he came in, it was just like I just knew I didn't see the full potential of what he could do. For whatever reason, just it wasn't there. And I was like, talk to the producers and everybody at casting. It was like, I think we should have Alon come back in again. And because we had enough of a relationship, I was able to call him and tell him a little bit more what I was looking for tonally and things of that nature. And then he came in the second time, and he just exceeded any and all expectations I had from like our conversation about what the character was. He
Yeah.
just took it and made it something all his own, which now has led to him getting nominated for breakthrough performance at NAACP Image Awards, which is incredible to see him just take ownership over this character
Yeah.
and invest in such a meaningful manner, which is really incredible. And then Cleo came through the audition process, and the first time she walked in the room, like I do photography as well in
Mhm.
life. I do a lot of photography. And as soon as she walked in, she has such a striking face and energy that my first thought was, I would love to photograph her. And then she performed and she did the scene. And it was just like, oh my gosh, she's like this crazy combination. And it's going to sound like hyperbolic, but I thought in that moment, she had things that were like Meryl Streep, Angela Bassett, and Angelina Jolie all wrapped up in the one unique package.
Yeah.
So I was like, that's my Vanessa, this is my James chemistry read. They did the chemistry read together. Eventually, it was magical, electric, and that was that.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. When I was watching it, um, I watched it 3 times actually because I enjoyed
Oh, wow.
I enjoyed it that much. But
Yeah, thank you for that. Thank you.
yeah, I mean it's a great project. But Cleo, or Vanessa, should I say, um, there's some parts throughout the film where she kind of has these moments of pause where you can see she's kind of having an internal battle with what to say or what to do or what to think. And I think in those moments of silence, it's like even though she's silent, she's saying so much with
Yes.
just her face and her energy. So yeah, you definitely made the right choice,
Yeah.
obviously. So I mean, the casting process, it seemed like it was pretty extensive. Would you say that was your favorite part of the whole director's process, or what's your favorite part of directing?
I mean, I love everything. Casting was special because that was the first time I was hearing the words inhabited by someone else, and they're going through their vessel and their interpretation and their humanity on
Mhm.
top of these words that I had crafted. But if I were to pick a favorite part, it would have definitely been just the time on set and the collaborative process. I was very fortunate to have had so many incredible artisans come together
Mhm.
and work at a rate that was a fraction of what they could have been making based on their skill sets and talent and resumes, but they all believed in the project. So those days of having like that amazing cast with the phenomenal production designer, the ADs, my cinematographers, who I just really love and will probably work with for the rest of my career, just being on set and telling a story together was probably the most special part of the process for me.
Is there a character that you feel you relate to the most, or are all the characters kind of just like a combination of you, the different parts of you or people you know?
That's a great question. The character that I feel like I relate to the most, to be honest, it's James. Like the James character is very much inspired by a lot of different elements from my life and my trajectory through from where I started to where things have kind of end up and just the navigation of it all, the navigation of the minutia, being a man of color, trying to succeed in spaces where there oftentimes aren't many men of color or
Yeah.
people of color, period.
Mhm.
And then and just trying to navigate that and build something special while still struggling with insecurities and all the things that make us people. And I feel like the James character is probably the one that embodies the most of like kind of who I am intrinsically as a person.
Okay. And last question. Um, Speaking of, representation, you said last year during an interview with Insider that you believe representation was important because it signifies something that's tangible and attainable. So I want to know, were there any Black filmmakers growing up who influenced you, or even now, that you just love and enjoy their work?
Man, it's a long list, but
Yeah.
the first name that comes to mind is I'm from LA, I'm from South
Hmm.
Central LA in
Yeah.
particular. So when you think about South Central LA, you think about cinema, the first name that comes to mind, is John Singleton,
Okay. Yeah.
who was an incredible human being and
Mhm.
filmmaker who saw me as an actor early on and told me that I had something special and was just
Yeah.
always supportive. So it's John Singleton, you have the Hughes brothers, Gordon Parks, it's phenomenal. Spike Lee,
Yeah. Of course.
just Spike is probably really in terms of like style and boldness, the biggest influence and inspiration. Um, yeah, there's just so many really incredible filmmakers. And even right now, Ryan Coogler
Hmm.
is he's mind-blowingly talented, special. He's a generational talent. Antoine Fuqua, like all these guys have really showed me what was possible.
Yeah. All right. Well, I know you got to get out of here, but I want to say thank you again for your time. Thank you for speaking with me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And I hope you have a great rest of the day on set.